Welcome to the Living Centred podcast, a podcast all about learning together how to live lives which are centred on Jesus. Everyone lives centred on something. Our goal is to learn together how every area of our lives, everything about who we are and how we live, can be increasingly oriented around Jesus and transformed by Jesus. He invites us to a rich and satisfying life, where the good news that he truly is enough changes everything about how we relate to God, ourselves, and the world. In each episode, a different person shares about what it's looking like for them to seek to centre their life on Jesus right now. As we hear their stories, we get to learn together and to encourage one another in what it means for Jesus to be at the centre of our lives. This is a journey we are all invited to, and a conversation we all get to be a part of. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name's Adrian. It is so good to welcome you to this week's episode of the Living Centred podcast. And it's my privilege to introduce today Zoe, who'll be sharing. Zoe, it is very good to see you.
Thanks.
To ease you in then, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what your life looks like at this point in time.
Yeah, hi. My name is Zoe. I'm married to Andy, and I have 3 daughters that are kind of growing up pretty fast, 20, 18 and 16. And I have been for the last few years doing a cleaning job, but I've just got a new job working with vulnerable adults.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on getting a new job.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thanks. And
really good.
Yeah, it's full time, so I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm sure it'll be really good. Though everything in me wants to talk about that, we're not going to. Rather, I'm going to jump in then with the big question, which is, what does living centred on Jesus look like then for you right now within those circumstances?
Okay. I centre on Jesus mostly through walking my dog, Rex, because it's like one time in the day when it's just me, and I live quite near Edgbaston Reservoir, so I walk around there quite a lot, and I get to see all the seasons changing, which is amazing. And I think that helps me become more aware of how everything works so well together and the beauty. And I feel like I see God within that.
Yeah.
It reminds me that he's in control of everything and he's actually central to everything working. That's one of the things that really helps me. But I can be quite inconsistent, quite up and down with centering on Jesus, mostly because sometimes I have like doubts about God, or like not necessarily his existence, but just I just sometimes have doubts. So that affects whether I'm centering on Jesus or not. And also I find at the moment I'm reading a book with some friends and talking to them about it, and that is something that reminds me of who God is. Yeah. And sometimes when I listen to worship music, it can help me remain centred. But sometimes I kind of avoid doing that because I don't really want to.
Yeah. It's really helpful.
I get quite easily distracted. I'd like to come to a point where I can actually just sit and focus on God, but I tend to get distracted or find something to do or fall asleep. And so I'd like to do that, but I don't know. I think that maybe isn't me.
Yeah, totally.
And I get it more from walking.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just thinking as you were saying that, of saying, maybe it'd be great if I could sit still. And then you said, but if I do, I tend to get distracted or think, there's this thing that needs to be done, or I just fall asleep, which is, I know that feeling. But actually then, to then think, well, no, what it looks like is that very beginning of just getting out, walking the dog. And whilst I'm there, I become aware of just literally through nature that I love that the seasons changing. Suddenly, as I'm wondering, meditating on that, like it allows me to then see, God, you're in control. Like it's really good. And I love the honesty as well of just say, but with it, I can be inconsistent. There are moments where I have doubts, and God's okay with doubt. Yeah. But I love also in saying, but I recognize it's not just me by myself trying to do this, that there's a strength that I find in
meeting with people.
Meeting with people and saying, I've got these friends I'm reading a book with, and that just helps. Yeah, really good. So if that's what centering on Jesus looks like, you've said some of what is helping at this point in time as well. But are there any other things that you'd want to add in?
Yeah. Podcasts really help me, like these ones, and also like podcasts that make me think more about how it all works. And I quite like the Bible Project because they continually just tell me that the Bible is great and it all points to Jesus.
Yeah.
Which is,
it's a really
great.
good thing. It's a really good thing.
Also, it's just being aware of my desperate need for Jesus and that I can't actually manage to remain stable if I don't have Jesus. So like family stuff, new job, I need God to be with me. Otherwise I won't be able to do it.
That's so good.
And then like talking to people about God, not as in like sharing it, but like helping me work stuff out. Doing this podcast has helped me stop and think how I center on God. And corporate worship really helps me. And small group. In my small group that we've just started, so you're welcome.
Great plug.
We pray for each other every week, which is great. Taking time out, retreats, I find helpful, but I never really do those. But whenever I do, which is like once every 5 years, I always find them helpful. So yeah, that's it really.
I absolutely always love your brutal honesty, Zoe. I love it. But there's this thing. I know it does me a world of good. Yep, but I probably only can do it every 5 years.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I'm gonna challenge you. Maybe let's try and do it once a year.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that would be good.
Yeah.
But I just love that stuff that's helping you. Just a whole mixed bag of it, of podcasts, of talking with others when you're thinking through something of I've not got to try and grapple with this by myself. Can others help me? Even this moment, it just helping us saying, what is helping me? How am I seeking to live centered on Jesus? Actually, those moments of just pause and reflection, like remind us, there's more going on than I realized. The fact that we're not going to do it by ourselves, that together, whether it's in the corporate worship or the beauty of the small, and just gathering with a small group of people and say, let's just pray for one another every week. Like it just does us good to do that. I also love the fact that you said, actually, it's a realization that I can't do life without Jesus.
Yeah. I tried.
Yeah, totally. I think we all do. And then realize, I cannot rescue myself. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it actually, I'm just desperate for more of you, Jesus, because I'm a better version of myself with you than without.
Yeah.
Which is really good. I'm actually loving
But I think because we know that, why don't we do it?
Yeah, it's a continual challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to provoke one another to say, hey, but why are you settling for that when we know what we've got in Jesus?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this podcast becomes the thing that just is the most normal conversation any one of us can have with one another.
Yeah.
Of, hey, how's it going living centered on Jesus?
Yeah.
Because that's where we need to be. Yeah, so then in it, just before I go on a little preach burst, what are you then discovering then about who God is as Father, Son and Spirit at the moment?
So this is like kind of slightly off, but it kind of goes back to it. And it's that sometimes I get distracted with praying and not seeing change. And then I kind of thought about it and I thought, I'm sure Jesus found it hard at times too.
Yeah.
When he prayed, but not everyone followed him. However, what I've found is that the Father, Son and Spirit are the only ones who bring me proper peace. And they kind of help me keep grounded.
Yeah.
And they're always there, always loving me, no matter what. And I think that's probably what I've learnt from centering on Jesus, just that even when I don't give him time, he is always there waiting for me, which is just, not many people do that, do they?
No.
You know? And also one other thing that I've learned, which I used to really struggle with, is that even when life is hard, so God is ultimately good.
Yeah.
Like that's who he is. It doesn't change the nature of who God is if my life is not great.
Yeah.
Or something bad has happened, or something hasn't worked out how I hoped. God is still ultimately good. And that's something that I've probably learned maybe more just over a couple of years. I still really struggle with it, but I now genuinely think that I've learnt that.
That's amazing. That's really cool, Zoe. there's so much in there of just, whether that's the last part of just within all of the moments of suffering you've known, all the moments of life not quite going how you want, that actually getting to a point of saying, no, but God, I know you're still good. You're still good. It's so powerful. Recognizing that Father, Son, and Spirit are the only ones who can bring you peace, who keep you grounded. And I love how you said it of like, even when you have like wandered off or don't remember that, as soon as you turn back, you know, Jesus is waiting patiently. And I was just conscious that like maybe you're listening to this podcast at this moment and you've been thinking, yeah, I've not been spending the time I should with Jesus. And you need to hear afresh, Jesus is just waiting. He's just waiting patiently, longing to meet with you. That's the truth. Oh, that's really good. So then, Zoe, last question, always the hardest.
Yeah.
How are you changing? If we were to have met you 3, 6, 12 months ago, how would Zoe then look different to Zoe today?
I think, although sometimes I doubt God, my thoughts are generally less dark about it. I'm probably more hopeful, and I think I'm quicker to pull myself out of the despair and more into being more hopeful. I think I feel quite positive about getting this job, and I think it's really hard not to kind of then put value on that, because I think that's something. So I'm changing because I've got a new job and I feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that I'm actually changing because I'm walking with Jesus.
Amazing. Isn't that what it's about? Like the fact you're even able to reflect on that and say, yep, I can see this as good news, but it isn't where my value comes from. I want to keep leaning in to make sure my value's in centering on Jesus.
Yeah.
That's how I'm changing. And I love how you put it of just like, yep, doesn't mean that sometimes it isn't dark, doesn't mean that sometimes I'm not doubting, but actually within it, I'm getting to know, no, there's hope. There's hope within it.
Yeah.
I just love it. Oh, Zoe, my heart is well and truly full, as I always say, but it just does me so much good, like having these conversations, just knowing something of your journey, hearing you share it, and just the beauty of it. I think in respect to all that you've shared, the thing I'm going to reflect on over the coming week is the seasons changing.
Yeah.
I think I also have dogs.
Yeah.
And I also take them for a walk. And I think just that want to be present and just recognize, yep, the seasons are changing. God, what are you showing me through this? That's what I want to do this coming week. How about you, my listening friends? Out of the beauty, wonder of everything that Zoe has so authentically shared with us, like what are you going to be considering over the coming week? And lastly, I just want to pray for each and every one of us. I pray we would know more of the wonder of living centered on Jesus this coming week. Amen.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Living Centered podcast. New episodes are released every Monday, and if you enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe on your chosen podcast provider to receive them direct each week. Living Centered is produced by the team at Oasis Church in Birmingham, UK, and you can find out more and get in touch with the team via theoasischurch.com.